So we've mentioned that a function is a type of object, but how many different types of objects are there? It's a good question. If you remember, an object is just simply a piece of data that, or a type of data that Python will be using to do whatever kind of manipulation we need on it. So there are a lot of different types of objects, but really we're going to concern ourselves with 3 to start, plus 2 more. So, and you'll see, and you'll understand why I separated it out like that. So, and we're going to use the handy function called type to figure out what the type of something is. So if you're ever unsure in your code, you can always just print out the type of something. So, type of 1, that is what we call an integer, or an int for short. So integers, right, if you remember, are those numbers that that basically range from 0 to up to as high as you can go, and from 0 to as low as you can go. So all the positive numbers, all the and all the negative whole numbers, right, and 0 itself. So if it's got a decimal point in it, it's not an integer. What is that? That's what we call a floating point. Type, let's go with 1.0. And that's a floating point number, or float for short. The third type is new keyboard. Sorry, I'll learn how to type on it one of these days. Right? Hello? And that is str, or string. Computer scientists really like making our names as short as possible. Easier to type. So strings of text, or strings, and so that's basically what you use to represent letters. We can represent strings in a whole lot of different ways. So we can use, as I mentioned, we can use single quotation marks. We can also use, we can use double quotes. We can use single quotes. And we can also use, in very special circumstances, or for very special circumstances, triple quotes. Hello, this is a paragraph. I'm not going to actually type the entire thing. See how it can span multiple lines and print exactly what I want, including this. And it ends with a triple quote. That's also a string. And you can try copy pasting that, but regardless of that, those are your 3 main types that we're going to be using. We'll also be learning, when we learn about logical operators like less than and greater than and the equal to's, the equivalence operation. We're going to be learning about the Boolean types, which are easy enough that I can actually I can explain it right now. So Boolean types, type of true. Notice that came up with that got highlighted in the special case. False. Those are bools or booleans, named after the mathematician George Boole, who came up with Boolean algebra, which is how we do stuff on true-false, which can be equated as 1s and 0s. So binary, really big tie into binary there. But those are used for those help us a lot with logic. And they're fairly straightforward. We don't really have to do too much on them, but they're not really as complex as, say, strings of flows. The other one is functions. Type, print. So functions really we don't really care about in terms of like trying to store them in a variable like we would with a number or a string. Functions are their own kind of things. And we mainly just use them to invoke them. We pretty much will never see functions without parentheses tied to them. One other function, So what else are we going to learn throughout the semester? Surely this can't be it. Eventually, we are going to be learning about lists, which are what you'll see like this. So lists are collections of numbers, or strings, or actually whatever the heck you want. Whoops. Let's go ahead and type of this thingy should give us a list. And then we'll also learn about tuples and dictionaries later on. Tuples and dictionaries are both very useful, but tuples are kind of going to be the they're like the middle child, ignored. So those are our types. So primarily ints, floats, and strings.